5 on 20 News with Phyllis James
and Richard Aguirre. We are coming to you live from the Creative Tucson studio in downtown Tucson. It's Monday, July 31st, and let's start with local headlines.
The Tucson metro area ranks dead last among 11 competing U.S. districts for teacher wages, according to a report by the University of Arizona. The report, called Making Action Possible, accounted for Tucson's relative low cost of living and still found that they were last on the list. Teacher wages averaged about $37,000 per year, which the report says is low compared to other professions that require at least a bachelor's degree. Tucson's teaching wages trailed the next on the list, Colorado Springs, by over $8,000. Other districts ahead of Tucson were Albuquerque, Phoenix, Austin, Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, Denver, and San Antonio. So pretty much everywhere. San Diego topped the list, paying its teachers over $70,000 per year. Teaching wages in Tucson were also low compared to the rest of the state, where teachers are paid about $40,000 per year, which were still low by national standards. The study stated that research has shown that providing competitive wages for teachers has a significant effect on the decision to choose teaching as an occupation and remain in the field. Governor Ducey has made teacher pay one of his priorities for next year's budget.
And here's what happens when you don't pay teachers enough. Arizona students are still underperforming on the Arizona Merit Standardized Tests, according to an unofficial statewide results. However, the scores are showing gradual improvements since their introduction in 2015, according to an Arizona Republic report. Almost every grade level improved on math and reading portions of the Arizona Merit last year by a handful of percentage points, but a large percentage are still testing in the exam's lowest performance level of minimal proficiency. The test results will be used to determine the state's new letter grade system, which assigns schools an A through an F scale to calculate a school's quality. Elementary school students were shown to get the highest scores, with 48% passing the test. In contrast, high school students performed the worst, with only 1/4 of 11th graders passing the test for the reading portion. But it's worth mentioning that the Arizona Merit test scores have no impact on graduation. The previous test, called AIMS, needed to be passed in order for high schoolers to pass high school. Officials say that this could make it difficult for students to take the test seriously, which could account for the low test scores. They point to evidence such as students leaving the test blanks and filling in their names with "this is stupid." The name portion they wrote "this is stupid" as their name. Who would have thought the teenagers wouldn't want to do something that they don't have to do?
Who would have thought? Republican State Representative Bob Thorpe is reportedly drafting a bill that will make it illegal for out-of-state college students from voting in Arizona elections. Thorpe told the Arizona Republic in June that college students unfairly influence elections in the state, but Democratic Representative Isla Blank said that the legislation is really meant to suppress voters, especially young voters who attend universities. College students tend to lean toward Democrats, so Thorpe's move could be construed as a way to prevent the state from turning blue. Interestingly, Thorpe has not looked at banning out-of-state military personnel, such as those stationed at Fort Huachuca or Davis Mountain Air Force Base, who tend to vote Republican. Maricopa County Recorder Adrian Fontes said that banning college students makes about as much sense as banning active duty military personnel or winter visitors who live in the state for a few months. Fontes said that they are contributing to our economy by consuming, renting, paying for gas, and buying clothes, and that there's absolutely no reason to exclude them. Fellow Republican Arizona Secretary of State Michelle Regan also opposes the legislation. She said that her office is looking to make it easier for students to vote, not more difficult.
2,000 backpacks were given away by the Pima County Sheriff's Department and Tucson Electric Power on Saturday as part of the Badges and Backpacks event. The backpacks were filled with school supplies for the upcoming school year. Organizers said that the free event was meant to help families get organized before the school year begins in the next few weeks. They said having it all in one location prevents families from having to run around, and for lower income families to spend money on public transport or gas. The Pima County Department also invited families to take a look at some of their equipment, their crime fighting resources, and to play with the canines. Deputies said that all the backpacks were donated or paid for with donations, except for pencils and erasers, which were paid for by the Sheriff's Department. That was nice.
Now in national and international news.
Now in national and international. I was supposed to read that.
The FDA is planning to order cigarette companies to lower the amount of nicotine found in their products to non-addictive levels. On Friday, the FDA announced their plan to combat what they claim are more than 480,000 deaths in the U.S. every year. It also detailed new regulations that would ban advertising and introduce standardized packaging on cigarettes that feature health warnings, such as those found in Canada and other countries. It also pushed back deadlines by 4 years for three cigarette manufacturers to provide information on current and future products to gain approval. This coordinates with an effort by the FDA to get people off of more cigarettes and onto e-cigarettes, which some claim aren't as harmful, but still is in debate. Experts were mixed in their receptions to the news. Robert West of the University College London said that lowering nicotine levels would just cause users to smoke more cigarettes in order to get their nicotine fix, which exposes them to more harmful tar. Others said that the FDA's effort to switch consumers to e-cigarettes could end up pushing more people to smoke cigarettes in the long term. But research published last week in the British Medical Journal pointed to evidence that e-cigarettes do indeed help cigarette smokers quit.
I smoked 2 cigarettes last week.
You told me.
At least 10 people were killed in the streets of Venezuela's capital yesterday amid a controversial vote that opponents say will lead to a dictatorship in the country. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro claimed victory in the election, which would create the National Constituency Assembly, who are tasked with rewriting the country's constitution. The rewrite would have the power to dissolve the National Assembly, composed of lawmakers largely opposed to Maduro. The president claims that over 8 million people voted, comprising of 41% of eligible voters, but the opposition disputes these figures, claiming that no more than 12% voted. Multiple media reports and social media also showed empty polling places on the day of the vote. One reason for the possible low turnout was a boycott by the opposition, which has grown in recent weeks as more deaths have come from the proposed law. Protesters have blocked streets and engaged in general strike throughout the country. The opposition is protesting what they say is wide-scale corruption by Maduro, which has produced food shortages and escalating inflation rates. However, Maduro maintains that this is propaganda by the right-wing opposition groups who have been assisted by the United States who want to overthrow his government. The United States placed sanctions on some very key Venezuelan officials last week over the election and said that more sanctions were on the way. UN Ambassador Nikki Haley called the election a, quote, sham, and said that we won't accept an illegitimate government. A growing list of nations are refusing to recognize the vote: Canada, Mexico, Argentina, and Brazil, according to NPR. Among the 10 killed on Sunday, 2 were teenagers. An opposition group said that it was actually 16 people killed. Despite the violence, Maduro said that the election was a success, which makes you wonder what an election failure would have been like.
A study by ProPublica found that the U.S. military is the nation's largest polluter and has left many American communities with threats to their health. The study looked at communities like Radford, Virginia, home of the Radford Army Ammunition Plant. They found that the New River, which runs along southern Virginia, was filled with piles of discarded contents from bullets, chemicals, makings from bombs, and raw explosives. These piles are regularly lit on fire because it's more manageable than disposal. But the report found that the resultant smoke is rich with lead, mercury, and chromium, along with the compounds like nitroglycerin and perchlorate, all known carcinogens. The nearby Bellevue Elementary School has been cited by researchers as facing some of the most dangerous air quality hazards in the country. The rate of thyroid diseases in the 3 of the surrounding counties is among the highest in the state, the report also found. Over 3 decades ago, the federal government banned these types of open burns because of health and environmental hazards. However, the Pentagon was given a temporary exemption from this rule to give engineers time to find alternatives. Outdoor burning and detonation continues to be the military's most common method for dealing with munitions and its associated waste. This is also the case for foreign wars, which another study found was responsible for sickening soldiers in Afghanistan and Iraq. In addition to studying the burn sites, the report looked at how military technologies have impacted soil across the U.S. By the military's own account, there are 5,500 current and former Pentagon properties that are considered suspected toxic sites across the U.S. EPA staff estimates that this land accounts for about 40 million acres, an area larger than the state of Florida. The EPA says that the cost of cleaning up these toxic sites will run to hundreds of billions of dollars. Very expensive.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah.
That is sad. Hackers were able to successfully break the software used for the United States voting machines in 90 minutes at a Las Vegas conference over the weekend. The test hack was intended to show how vulnerable our electronic voting systems are to foreign or domestic hacking groups. At the DEF CON conference, hackers were given physical voting machines and remote access. In minutes, hackers exposed glaring physical and software vulnerabilities across multiple voter machine companies' products, such as Diebold, the largest voting machine company in the United States. Some devices were found to have physical ports that could attach other devices with malicious software. Others had insecure Wi-Fi connections or were running outdated software. In addition to Diebold, machines were made by Sequoia Voting Systems and WinVote, all of which showed similar vulnerabilities. In January, the president set up a commission to study voter fraud, which he insists occurred in the last election. However, the commission has seemingly chosen to focus on illegal voting rather than voter machine hacking. The commission reportedly says it will solve the hacking problem by banning any future DEF CON events because the American people should know how vulnerable their voting systems are.
The Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte ordered a late-night raid that killed 15, including the mayor of Azumis City. The raid was part of Duterte's bloody war on drugs that killed dozens since he rose to power last year. Last year, Duterte published a list of 150 government officials whom he believed were involved with the country's drug trade. On this list was Azumis City Mayor Ronaldo Parajanog Sr. and his daughter Nova, who serves as vice mayor. Parajanog and his wife were among those killed in the police raid that was initially meant to search for unlicensed guns. A firefight ended up breaking out between police officers and the mayor's bodyguard. Duterte's anti-drug campaign has been criticized by human rights groups, although many people in the Philippines support the president because of drug problems in the country. The AP reports that this is the third mayor killed in the Philippines as a result of Duterte's campaign. This was 5 on 20 News with Phyllis James.
And my name is Richard Aguirre. Thank you for watching. Guys, don't forget to like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out all the latest Creative Tucson content. Stick around. Next up is going to be Phyllis James with the veteran Heartbeat, and she'll be interviewing Roy Burr. So,
thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Come on back.